Good afternoon, YouTube and Facebook viewers. I'm Rebecca Sosmarski, and I am here today with Ward 7 Alderman from the City of Galesburg, Jeremy Karlin, and we are going to be talking about the mini golf course project today that was proposed in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. It will be included, right, Jeremy?
That's correct. I mean, it's been in the capital improvement plan for the City of Galesburg for a number of years, I think the last 6 years. And we're getting closer and closer to the possibility of it becoming reality here in the City of Galesburg.
Yeah, and just from personal perspective, how soon would you like it to see come to
Well, I think it's something that we could have done years ago. I think as I have walked through my ward and as I've talked to constituents and residents of the community, and maybe it's because I have a child and I speak to a lot of families who have kids that they look to a miniature golf course as a kind of a no-brainer, as a thing that you can do as a family, like when it's 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday, summer day, or summer evening when it finally cools off. You can go off and do as a family, or you can drop off your teenage kids to go do that. Yet another physical thing or physical amenity that would be beneficial to our families. They think that it should have happened yesterday. But that's not how city government works, and it does come with a significant price tag for the community, and so we need to be thoughtful and methodical about this type of thing. Is it the right? We only have so much money. Is it the right type of project at this time?
Speaking of that, to kind of go through the Parks and Rec project some, when I spoke to Tony, the director of Parks and Rec, he mentioned that all the city's parks and recreation projects cost about $5 million to maintain per year, and all of the Parks and Rec facilities tend to lose money except for Allison Campground. So what do you think would be beneficial to Galesburg to have the mini golf course come in, if not money?
Well, right. I mean, you don't measure government functions by profitability. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a police department and a fire department, our streets, because they cost us a lot of money. But they provide, obviously necessary benefits to the community. And park and recreation is no different. I mean, we don't have a playground and then say, okay, well, is this making us money or not? So the benefit to the community of park and recreation programs is not financial, but it's the thing that builds community. It's the thing that brings us together of all sorts and types of individuals in ways that other parts of our daily lives don't do. We are also siloed in what it is that we do. We all go to our own churches or temples. We all go to the same school events. We all go to this and that. But Parks and Recreation has a way of going past those boundaries and bringing people of all sorts of walks of life together, and it helps build our community. I think that's the important thing that park and recreation programs do, and that is not measured by dollars and cents.
And something else too that the city did, you mentioned that it has been in the capital plan for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
The city had included in the FY 2018 budget $300,000 to be used towards any parks and recreation plan. Now that the money's there, now that the consulting firm Houseal Lavigne has put together a report saying that people want a mini golf course, when do you expect that to come to the community then? Can we expect it within the next year or 2019?
Well, we have to decide as a city government whether or not the money that we've set aside for Parks and Rec, a capital project, will be for miniature golf. And there are other things that were in that proposal that were wanted. More hiking and biking trails and paths. Now, in my mind's eye, those are often street projects, because if we're putting in bike lanes, that's what we do in streets anyway. So it's not necessarily a capital project. I don't think we'd be able to build a community center, which was also a higher priority request as a part of the survey. So I think that a miniature golf makes sense, and so it'll probably be included in the 2019 budget. And so I think we can expect something, if we agree as a city council, which is by no means a certainty, that I think you could see something by fall of 2019.
Gotcha. And if it is 2019 for the mini golf course, then what do you think the $300,000 will be used for?
I think we should save it for that project. You can obviously save it over for next year's project. I mean, the timing of the full Parks and Recreation master plan won't be until we just start working on the budget for 2019. We expect to receive it sometime in the summer in its entirety and complete, form. And so there are those of us on the City Council who want to wait until we have that complete master plan. We have paid for it, and we should have the benefit of it before we make decisions.
Sounds good. And then let me just grab some statistics here that I found from the Houseal Lavigne report. They gave 2 proposals for the mini golf course, one 9-hole and one 18-hole, and said the 18-hole would be better for revenue, but they didn't give a specific number. Has the city looked into how much revenue it would bring in if it went with either a 9-hole or 18-hole golf course?
I'm sure there are some statistics, and I don't know it. My hope it would be that it would break even, and I'm reasonably confident that it would. You have obviously the capital cost of building and the operational costs. That's not, that's summer help. That's the kind of help that we have at our at Lakeside Pool. That's summer temporary workers who would help us out there, not paid extravagantly well, and so I think those would be. I think if we priced it right and appropriately at the miniature golf course in a way that's affordable to people, we'll be able to break even on that.
Sure. Do you have any idea what the prices would be at this point? I mean, I know that this is thinking long term in the future.
Sure, $4.95.
And that would be.
I'm joking. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what it would cost. I mean, those kind of things will be decided by city administration when the time is right. Obviously, it's a balance between making sure that we're covering our operational costs and also making it affordable to all the citizens who would need it. I think ultimately, depending on where it's sited, or regardless of where it's sited, that you could get a summer pass for it, like go as many times as you want, just like you can get a summer pass, let's say, for Lakeside Pool.
Nice. A lot of residents will like that too, I'm sure.
I think you could probably even have a pass that were for both.
Oh.
So like you go swimming, you go golfing in the morning and then swimming in the afternoon. You go get some lunch and then swimming in the afternoon.
Full summer package there. So you also mentioned, kind of going off of that, as besides Lakeside, a possible site would be the O.T. Johnson lot in Kiwanis Park. Why would those sites, do you think, be a good potential site for the golf course?
Well, I think that, first of all, Lakeside is a good site because we already have a facility there that's for concessions, and if we build the course right, you can maybe join it into the concessions that are already there. We already have people working there. And that would just draw more people to the pool, and you have it all there. There's parking. It's also where our last miniature golf course was. The O.T. Johnson site, it's centrally located, and so also because there's a big hill, you get some good elevation change and make it more complicated and difficult and interesting. Also on the south side near Kiwanis Park, it may be easier for some people to walk to it, where it's accessible to teenagers and kids, where a site up on the north or middle of town would not be. I'm trying to think of the places that are the property that's already city owned, so we don't have to do any land acquisition. We got a lot of that around town.
Yeah, a lot of acreage too that's open. So.
That's right. Yeah, right.
There was, just so the viewers and readers know, to go back to that $300,000 project, it had been budgeted for a mini golf course originally, and then before the budget was passed, the city decided to change it. Can you remind the viewers why that was? Sure.
It was already in the capital improvement plan, and in the budget process, knowing that the master plan was being worked on, and we wanted the benefit of those conclusions, that we decided to earmark the money not solely just for miniature golf, but for a Parks and Rec capital project. And so maybe to give us some flexibility, and again, if we're spending money on this type of planning document, we should have the benefit of its results before we focus on one particular project.
And to go back, when you mentioned that, kind of having the package deal almost of giving people the passes to swimming and everything. What other opportunities do you see to maybe join the mini golf course with other assets in the community?
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, I think it should be a standalone thing, like an 18-hole course. But I think there are a lot of other inexpensive amenities that we can do here in the city that make sense. One of the projects that were in the planning document or the survey was an ice skating rink. At the last, was it the winter kind of carnival that we had downtown? I forget the name of it.
Galesburg Express?
The Galesburg Express, we had the artificial ice rink by the Armory. And, we had this plastic artificial surface that you could skate on. You could you could rent skates, and I don't even know if it was I think it was for free. I don't know if it, but wouldn't that be awesome to do that in the Armory? We wouldn't have to heat the Armory during the winter, and you could do that. And the only maintenance for that, I think, is a broom. You just have to sweep off the shavings.
And no snow, like you said, like the one at the other park.
At the Rotary Park, you don't need cold temperatures. You don't need anything. You just need someone there who can sell you popcorn and rent you skates.
Sounds good. And Jeremy, just to kind of wrap it up, are there any other projects that you're really excited about that were mentioned so far in Houseal Lavigne's report for the preliminary, I should say, Parks and Rec planning?
Well, as a cyclist and as a member of Cyclists of Galesburg, it told me this. Frankly, this report told me a lot of the things I already knew to be true, which is that the community is seeking to have more accessibility for cyclists and pedestrians, for that matter, down its streets and in its parks. And so, if we can put more biking paths and bike lanes and make it more connectable, so people feel safe on the roadways, that's a good thing. I know that bike lanes, it can be a controversial issue in the community. It doesn't have to be, because it is the thing that we do when we're already fixing roads, and so it's not an extra cost. It doesn't mean that perhaps people have to drive in their cars a little slower and inconveniencing them by 5 or 10 seconds. Yes, and sometimes people feel that acutely. But with that said, I think if you look at vibrant, energized communities in the state of Illinois and the Midwest, a component of that is having something where as bicycle lanes and jogging lanes, and people can exercise outside. Summer lasts only so long in Illinois, and we need to take full advantage of it when it's here. So I like that part of the program. Again, bike lanes. I think the fact that a community center scored so highly, obviously that's a big ticket item. People say community center, but if I ask you what a community center, if I ask 10 people what a community center I'd probably get about 15 different answers. And we still need to define hopefully this master plan will help us define for ourselves what is the kind of community center that this community needs. And so when we have that, then we can better decide how we fund that, or to do it at all.
Sounds good. And our very, very last question is just something that you mentioned, and I've heard residents say, is that the mini golf course, there were actually 2 beforehand in the city. Is that right? So why maybe focus on bringing one back again?
Well, I think the fact that you have miniature golf courses that are brought here and then ultimately they don't succeed, point out that it's people identifying that there's a need for miniature golf or desire for miniature golf in the community. But what you're talking about is the difference between a business investment, and a government investment in the community. And in a business investment, you expect a return in profit, in money. You want to make money in your investment, just as you would if you bought a rental home or you bought stock, right? And what has happened is that despite the desires of the community to have a miniature golf, and the need for it to have it be in the community, the business model hasn't made sense, such that there's an appropriate return. But the investment that a government makes in its community is not simply just that of money. Like I said before, you're talking about bringing people to the community, showing that we are vibrant, showing that and actually being child-friendly, encouraging young families to come here. Because, as you pointed out, as this report pointed out, as you pointed out in your reporting, if we do nothing, Galesburg is going to be following the trend of every other community in the Midwest, and we're going to lose people. And I mean, it's been my goal as a city council member always to be thinking that we need to be growing the population of Galesburg, and that should be the beginning and end of everything that we do. When we make a big decision, is it going to help us grow the community? And so I think miniature golf answers that question for us. It's an investment in our community, no doubt, that I think will reap rewards.
I think that was a great summary to end it off on, too. Well, thank you, Jeremy, for being with us today and talking with us a little more about the plan.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you, viewers, as well.